Ever wondered if having too many options actually paralyzes your decision-making process rather than empowering it? Imagine strolling through a supermarket aisle confronted by 50 different kinds of cereal, or scrolling through endless streaming options on your TV. It's an all too familiar scenario in our hyper-connected world. This overwhelming abundance of choice is the focus of a fascinating book, The Paradox of Choice: Why More is Less, penned by the renowned psychologist Barry Schwartz. Schwartz's work shines a spotlight on an intriguing paradox. He argues that while choice is generally considered a positive aspect of our lives, too much of it can lead to stress, dissatisfaction, and even paralysis. The book challenges the notion that more choice equals more freedom and satisfaction, a belief deeply ingrained in our consumer culture. Barry Schwartz, a respected scholar and thought leader, brings his wealth of knowledge and research to the table, offering a fresh perspective on the decisions we make every day. Stay tuned to delve deeper into the paradox that challenges the very cornerstone of our consumer culture. Dive into the first chapter, where Schwartz flips the script on our understanding of choice. The paradox of choice, as Barry Schwartz articulates it, is a phenomenon we've all experienced. It's that sensation of standing in the supermarket aisle, staring at a wall of cereal boxes and feeling utterly paralyzed. Schwartz argues that far from being liberating, the modern cornucopia of consumer choices often leads to anxiety and stress. In Chapter 1, Schwartz introduces us to this paradox. We're conditioned to believe that more choices lead to more freedom, and more freedom leads to more happiness. However, Schwartz argues that this isn't always the case. He presents the idea of choice overload, a term that perfectly encapsulates the stress and anxiety that can come from having too many options. Imagine this. You're at a restaurant with a 10-page menu. The waiter asks for your order, but you're still stuck on page 1, overwhelmed by the sheer number of dishes. This is choice overload in action. Instead of enjoying the variety, you are stressed, anxious, and unable to make a decision. Schwartz contends that by reducing the number of options, we can alleviate this anxiety. He suggests that it's not about eliminating choice completely, but about finding a balance. Too few choices can be as frustrating as too many. But when options are curated and streamlined, we can make decisions more confidently and comfortably. This concept doesn't just apply to trivial everyday decisions like choosing a cereal brand or picking a dish from a menu. It extends to larger life choices as well. Choosing a career, picking a school, deciding where to live, all these decisions can be overwhelming due to the abundance of options. Schwartz's argument in this first chapter is a compelling one. It challenges our understanding of choice and freedom, and it encourages us to question the notion that more is always better. It's a thought-provoking start to a fascinating exploration of how we make choices and how those choices shape our lives. As counterintuitive as it may sound, less can indeed be more when it comes to choices. Chapter 2 introduces us to the tyranny of small decisions. Intriguing, isn't it? This is where Barry Schwartz takes us on a journey into the minutiae of our day-to-day lives. It's a fascinating exploration of how the tiniest decisions can become surprisingly complex and burdensome. Picture this. You're in a supermarket, standing before a vast array of toothpaste options. You just want to clean your teeth, but now you must decide between whitening, tartar control, sensitive natural, cavity protection, and the list goes on. And that's just toothpaste. Schwartz suggests that while such a plethora of choices may initially seem liberating, it can quickly become overwhelming. It's a paradox, really. With each additional choice, the decision-making process becomes more challenging, not less. It's like being in a maze with too many paths and no clear direction. Moreover, these small decisions often lead to regret and second-guessing. You might find yourself wondering if the other toothpaste might have been better, if it might have made your teeth whiter or protected them more effectively. This regret, this constant questioning of our choices, can contribute to a sense of dissatisfaction and unrest. Schwartz also emphasizes how this tyranny of small decisions can impact our overall well-being and happiness. It's not just about the stress of decision-making, but about the emotional toll it takes when we perpetually question our choices. We begin to feel less content and more anxious, and this can have a profound impact on our self-esteem. He even goes as far as suggesting that this tyranny of small decisions can lead to paralysis by analysis, where we become so overwhelmed by the sheer number of options that we struggle to make a decision at all. The irony is that these are supposed to be the simplest decisions, the ones that shouldn't require much thought. But in today's world, where options are plentiful and information is abundant, even the smallest choices can become tyrannical. It seems the burden of choice extends to even the smallest decisions in our lives. In Chapter 3, Schwartz explores the consequences of having too many choices. Let's delve into this. Imagine a supermarket aisle brimming with hundreds of cereal options. Now, you've got to pick one. Sounds easy, right? But as Schwartz points out, the more choices we have, the more paralyzed we become. Instead of liberating us, this plethora of options can often leave us feeling overwhelmed and indecisive. Firstly, there's the issue of regret. When there are numerous alternatives, we become plagued with the possibility of regretting our choice. The constant "what if" lingering in our minds. What if we made the wrong choice? What if another cereal tasted better? This regret can tarnish our satisfaction with the choice we've made, reducing our overall happiness. Schwartz also discusses the concept of missed opportunities. With so many options, there's always the nagging feeling that we might be missing out on something better. This is also known as the fear of missing out, or FOMO. This feeling can lead us to question our decisions even after we've made them, causing unnecessary stress and anxiety. Next, let's talk about raised expectations. With so many choices at our disposal, our expectations naturally rise. We expect the perfect cereal, the one that ticks all the boxes. But when reality falls short of these heightened expectations, disappointment inevitably follows. Finally, there's the feeling of inadequacy. When faced with a multitude of choices, we often feel inadequate for not being able to make the perfect decision. This can lead to a decrease in self-esteem and an increase in self-doubt. So, while a vast array of choices may seem appealing at first glance, Schwartz argues that it often leads to regret, missed opportunities, raised expectations, and feelings of inadequacy. It's a paradox, isn't it? The very thing that is supposed to liberate us can actually make us feel more trapped. The consequences of choice are not as liberating as they may initially seem. As we reach the end of this intriguing journey, let's summarize the key takeaways from Schwartz's The Paradox of Choice. This book, in essence, challenges a deeply ingrained belief of our society that more choice invariably leads to more freedom and consequently to greater welfare. But as we've discovered today, this may not always be the case. Schwartz argues that while some choice is undoubtedly better than none, more is not always better. A multitude of options can lead to anxiety and stress rather than freedom. This is the paradox of choice. An increase in options can make us feel worse off instead of better. The supermarket aisle, brimming with a vast array of cereals, is no longer a symbol of freedom, but a metaphor for paralysis and confusion. We also touched on the tyranny of small decisions. The idea that every minor choice we make, from what to wear to what to eat for breakfast, can pile up and become a significant source of stress and dissatisfaction. The time and energy we expend on these decisions could be better spent on things that truly matter to us. The consequences of choice are another key theme in Schwartz's work. While making a decision, we tend to focus on the potential losses rather than the gains. This phenomenon, known as loss aversion, can lead us to feel regret and disappointment, further exacerbating the stress of decision-making. In the end, Schwartz suggests that we should learn to be satisficers, settling for good enough rather than always striving for the best. This approach can help us escape from the trap of the paradox of choice, reducing stress and increasing satisfaction. Remember, the key to happiness might not lie in more, but in less. The right amount of choice can provide freedom without the burdens that excessive choice can bring. The paradox of choice invites us to rethink our relationship with choice and perhaps find a more balanced and satisfying way to navigate the sea of options we face every day.